Welcome everyone to Playground Sessions YouTube channel. My name is Phil, and you are joining yet another live lesson here. We are fully live, and I'm looking at my team here. We got a full house, a little fuller than usual. Give it up for Aiden and Andrew, and we also have Ian in the building. For those who maybe have communicated with Ian on support, he is up visiting. And what we're doing today is a topic that you guys voted on, which you can see above here. Now, this may seem incomplete if you don't know the context. What we see here is selecting, learning, perfecting. What does that mean? Well, there was a really great suggestion for a topic in the user voice thread, and the topic was a bit long to put all in verbatim. So this is the shorthand version, but what we're talking about today is essentially how to get through an entire process from knowing where to pick a song, we'll cover that, how to pick the right song, how to know what right song to pick, how to get through and start practicing, and then how, of course, to perfect it. Now, that's a long process that could take weeks, months, or maybe longer, depending on what we're biting off here. But one of my goals for today is to help you guys make sure that you're not picking a song that's too tough and then running into a wall and feeling discouraged, or too easy and feeling, wrong in a different way. So we want to talk about selecting the right song. We want to talk about then how to go about learning that in the right way, and the best way to set yourself up for success with learning the full piece, which is a lot different than just learning the intro, right, or the chorus. And when we talk about perfecting, I do want to add a little bit of an asterisk there, because I don't think perfection should be our goal necessarily. What we want to remember here is that learning music and playing music is fun and can bring a lot of joy, even if you're getting 85, 90%, 95% in the app. I don't want anyone banging their heads against the wall trying to get from 99% to 100, because we're losing sight of what this is all about. However, having said that, in today's lesson, when we talk about perfecting, what I want to focus on is, again, not just learning one or two sections and moving on, but being able to play the full piece in a way that is sufficient for you to feel like you've completed the piece. So it's a tall order, and we're going to walk through it today. I'm going to be showing you my screen with my app, and we're going to be walking through every step of the way. I want to give you guys an opportunity to write your comments or questions in the chat if you haven't done that yet. And I'd like you to focus your questions today on today's topic. So what is a part of this process that's confusing to you, or you'd like me to shed more light on? I also want to know maybe why, what experiences have you had that led you to want this topic? Let me know below, or maybe if you have some advice for other students in the chat who are struggling with this, but maybe you feel like you've got some tips. Let's open up the chat to any and all of that. What I want to do first here is get to your chat. I want to talk and to you guys, and I want to say hey. I want to see how everyone's doing. So first off, what's up? Hey, Blessin. Hey, Robert Atkins. Blessin. I love that name. Jamie Shilley. What's up? Hey, Lily Mae Music. Hey, Sarah Pickles. Good to see you. Good to see your name, at least. Hey, Lynn Stewart. Everything's well with me. I got my first shot today of 2, and so I'm feeling optimistic about this summer. Let's see. Rhonda Nodder. What's going on? I'm looking forward to tonight's lesson, too. Hey, Rebecca. Hey, Kevin Chrisman, what's up? Rhonda Nodder just completed day 90 of consecutive Playground in 2021. Boom! Rhonda, that is huge. I'm going to go ahead and toss you a free song credit, Rhonda, just for that, because that's amazing. Congratulations. 90 consecutive days of practice in Playground. Well done. Just email support@playgroundsessions.com and say, hey, I'm Rhonda Nodder. Phil said I want a free song credit, and we will hook you up. Great work. For those who want to earn more song credits today, I'm going to be asking a pop quiz question or two throughout the lesson, so stay tuned and make sure you're paying attention for those. Hey, Jeanette Meets. Jeanette has practiced every day of 2021 so far. That's insane. Congrats, Jeanette. Elta John, great action shot of me. Oh, you're talking about for the picture. I was like, can you guys see me right now? Yeah, that's a funny one. Aiden put the thumbnails together there for this. Hey, John Sandlin, what's up? John Anderson, hello from Chicago. Hey, Pat Sir. Charles Smith, what's up? Regina, Gregor Lichtenberg. Hey, hey. Hello from Indiana. All right, all right. So guys, let me know in the chat. I'm gonna pause scrolling for a second here, but I'm gonna go to the final, most recent comment that I see here from Marina Johal. Hi Phil, I'm new to Playground Sessions and working on the 30-day challenge for the entertainer. Really enjoying how you teach. I pick up songs based on you teaching them. That is so cool, Marina. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm really glad to see that you've dug in and you're having a positive experience in your first 30 days. That really is one of the main reasons we made that challenge, that course, is because often when a student starts, it's the first 30 days that can determine whether they'll continue or not. So we wanted to create an experience where you build up a lot of momentum in those 30 days and then continue on beyond. Really, really happy to hear that. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for writing in. Hello, Lauren Anderson. My lovely wife is in the chat. Everyone say hey to Lauren. All right, so what I want to talk about today, you guys, is selecting a song, learning a song, and perfecting a song. But before we jump in, a little bit of housekeeping here, you guys. I want to talk about our next live lesson date. And this may come as a bit of a surprise to you guys, but we're going to be doing a little bit of a revamp here on the channel in a way that is, I think, going to be really, really good in the long term. So what I want to talk about is we're going to actually be shifting our weekly lessons, where we have a live check-in every week, to a monthly live lesson, where, as you can see here, we're going to go for 2 hours, and we're going to be digging in a lot deeper to various things. It's going to allow us time to prepare a bit better for our live lessons and give you guys more of the stuff that you've loved in the past and that you continue to ask about, such as live performances, whether it's from me, a guest, or my band. It's also going to allow us to try and book some interviews like we did last week. I think many of you tuned in for my interview with Shalea, who is, of course, the composer and the performer of Grace, the course that many of you have been working on in the app. And I want to continue to support your topics that you're voting on as well. So we're going to basically think of these as a more concentrated gathering, and we're going to simplify to once a month so that I can continue to make other types of learning content for our channel that is not live. All right. So I hope you guys will mark your calendars for April 21st. It's another Wednesday. We're going to actually be going for 2 hours, 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And it's going to be a blast. I saw somebody mentioned in the chat that the next topic would be a salsa accompaniment. That may change now because we've got a couple of extra weeks to vote. And so I just want to give you guys the heads up. We're going to be trying this new format for at least the next few months, and we're going to see how this goes. And I'm going to be able to free up my time a bit more to create more learning content for the channel as well, which I hope you guys will also enjoy. All right, so having said that, let's get into today's topic. I'd like to first start with selecting. How do we select the right song? Well, there's a lot of things that go into this here. First, you have to be somewhat honest with yourself about your level, and that is a really important starting point. Now, I say that because many of you may either think of yourselves as more beginner than you actually really are. Some of you may also think of yourselves as more advanced than you actually really are. Both of those things are okay and understandable. However, when you go to select a song for yourself to learn, you've got to be able to be honest with yourself. And if you are trying to be honest but you just don't know how do you assess yourself? Then one of the best places to start would be our boot camp. Our boot camp in the app is a curriculum, for those who don't know, that starts you from day one, talks about fundamentals that a true beginner needs, starts to walk you through some of the techniques required to play at that level, and then periodically will suggest that you try some songs from the song store at that level. Now, many of you may think, hey, I'm not a beginner, so I'm going to jump into the intermediate level boot camp, at which point you might react by saying, hey, this is actually the right level for me. I am a bit challenged by what I'm seeing here, but I know 80% or more of what they're talking about already, and so I'm going to learn a bit, and I'm going to practice this, and I'm going to get it relatively quickly. That's going to be a good sign that you can start there and continue through that path. If you can sight read everything on the intermediate boot camp without even needing to watch any videos, then you might be an advanced player, in which case I would say you should jump over to the advanced tour. This is all to suggest that the boot camp can be a barometer for you to sort of level check and see what an appropriate level for your playing could be. Now, every method, every app, every competitor of ours, everyone that's offering piano learning services is likely going to have a slightly different scale of levels, right? So a beginner level arrangement in one company might actually be an intermediate level arrangement in another. And so for that reason, I think it's even more important that you try to figure out your level in-house. In other words, playground boot camp levels are going to match one-to-one with our song store levels for the most part. So I think the boot camp is a great place to start. And from there, you could try to start looking at songs that match that level. So let's actually go to my app here, and I'd like us to try to, oh, can you guys see it? There we go. I'd like you to kind of bear with me here. I'm going to walk through and pretend like I am a student who's looking for a song. All right, I'm in the Song Store tab in the app. Where do I start? I see a lot of song tiles. I don't know where to start. Okay, first what I'd like you to do is click See More, and what we're going to do is start to filter our song options on the left. So this can be a great place to start. Let's say you already have gone through the boot camp to some degree and you know what level you're looking for. Well, this is the first thing you can do here in the top left. So, all right, I know I'm an intermediate player, so I'm going to go ahead and filter only intermediate songs. Now, rookie and advanced options are gone from here, okay? So there we go, right out of the gate. Now, I'm also going to suggest that some of these genres on the left might lend themselves better or worse to certain levels. For example, anything in the classical world, or maybe even the jazz world, is probably going to skew harder. Even if you're at the rookie level, it's likely going to be at the harder side of rookie. Okay, so keep that in mind. I would also say that pop music in general, and of course this is a generalization, as well as rock music, can often skew towards the easier side. There's going to be a lot more repetition in the content that you're learning from section to section, and likely you're going to stay in one key, in one time signature, and all of that. So keep that in mind when you're selecting songs, but if you're open to any genre, then keep this open, keep this blank. I also want you to consider this down here. Now, we're continuously working on adding more videos to our song store. For now, we don't have a ton of videos, but the ones that do have videos are obviously going to likely make it easier to learn if you've got a video instructor, okay? But for now, let's say all types of content, video or no video. Let's say all genres, and let's look at intermediate, okay? So now what you want to do is pick from this pool. And of course, you're going to want to choose a song that you're going to want to learn. Maybe it's a song that you already know how it sounds. It's one of your favorite songs to listen to. That, by the way, is another great point to consider when you're trying to pick a song that is accessible for you. If you already know how a melody is supposed to go, maybe you can sing along with the vocalist. Maybe you can pick out the chord progression and kind of sing along. I know David Sides loves to be able to sing the bass line to a progression. It's going to be a lot easier for you to learn compared to a song that you've never heard before. Okay, so I'm literally scrolling through at random here, but I am going to pick a pop song because by nature those are popular songs. I believe that's what pop stands for. So here you go. What about this? Don't Stop Believin'. Now that was a pop song. Now it's maybe more of a classic rock song, but I bet generations know that song. So I'm going to click on it. And this is actually another great part of the app here. Before you download a song, you can get a preview of several things. And I highly encourage everyone to take advantage of this screen and spend a good amount of time on this screen when you're looking for your next song. Don't just jump right up to the Add to Cart button up here. So here's one thing that I like to do when I'm about to select a new song, is do a little bit of analysis of the notation. And that's this handy preview here, okay? And you can, of course, zoom in on your computer on this. But this gives you a snapshot of what the notation looks like. There's a couple of things that you can learn from looking at the sheet music, even before you know how to play it or you know anything that you're looking at in detail. You can get a high-level look at things like the key that we're in. Now, in this arrangement of Don't Stop Believing, By the way, it's the intermediate level arrangement, right? We've already filtered that. I can tell that we're in the key of C major because if I look at this key signature, no sharps, no flats. So what I might do is orient my hands really quickly and say, you know what? I'm going to do a quick refresher on my C major scale. This song, after all, is in the key of C major. Okay, that feels good. I know that scale. So I'm going to do much better learning a song in the key of C major than I might in the key of B major, for example, or another difficult key. So this was helpful. Now I know this arrangement is in the key of C, which makes me believe it's going to be one of the easier keys to play. Then I'm going to look at the time signature. Now I see 4/4 here for this arrangement. 4/4 is literally referred to as common time, right? That's what sometimes we'll see a C, a capital C in the time signature instead of a 4/4. That's how common this time signature is. If you nod your head along to most pop songs on the radio, or whatever, the radio, Spotify, Apple Music, whatever. Yeah, some people still listen to radio, but you're a jazz guy, so you know, like me, we're a little more old school. But more chances than not, you are listening to a song in 4/4. It's very easy to walk to, or to nod your head to, or dance to, compared to something like 6/8, or even like 5/4, or some of these harder time signatures. 4/4 is going to be very familiar to you as you start to put the song together. So that's another good thing I'm learning here by analyzing the music. Another thing I might look at is the general difficulty of the notes and rhythms on the page. Now you don't have to learn every note and rhythm here to be able to see that with a general glance, we're not seeing any super fast rhythms like 16th notes. We're also not seeing any crazy chords, right? In fact, what I see is mostly single notes in the left hand and single notes in the right hand. However, I also see a left-hand part that looks like it has a melody, right? At least in the first half. Well, for those who know the song, you might already know that the left hand is going to do something like this. But even if you didn't know it, you could still gather that that's kind of the gist of what's happening here. So take that for what it's worth. You have to decide for yourself if that seems really difficult or a little easier than you expected. All of this is a bit subjective, but this is all to say that doing some upfront analysis of the preview page of the notation can be very helpful before you dive in and really start learning measure one right hand, measure one left hand, measure one both hands. You got to get a sense for yourself of what you're getting into. Now, aside from analyzing the sheet music, we also offer a couple of handy tools here in the app. You can listen to the song, at least a segment of it. I believe it's a 30-second clip of the song. You can listen to it with the backing track, so everything you're going to play along to. You can also just listen to it with the piano part alone. So here is the full part with the backing track to give you a sense of the tempo, the energy, all of that stuff. Ready? There we go. Woo! All right. So that's that, right? And if you're wondering, well, hold on, that sounded like a lot of piano in there. Sometimes we have extra piano in the backing track. So you really want to make sure you know exactly what you're going to be expected to play, and that's where you want to click the song preview above. That's this. Here we are. See, the chorus rocks out with the full band, but your part is still manageable here. So, again, what we're doing here is trying to get a sense of what's going to be required of us for this song. Now, let's say that we believe that this song is actually going to be too easy for us. We want to try something a little harder. Well, down here we have other levels of the same arrangement. So you can also get a quick dashboard view here of what the rookie one sounds like if you feel like that's too hard. There it is. Look at the notes here, much simpler, right? Now let's say you thought intermediate was too easy. Let's see what advanced looks like. Oh boy, all right. So upon first glance of our notation preview here, we see a lot of stuff going on here. First, key signature. We're not in the key of C anymore, right? We got 4 sharps here. F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, and D sharp. That tells us we're in the key of E major, a nice rock key, right? A guitar key. And we still have our left hand little riff. But, of course, because we have 4 sharps in our key signature, we're mixing up black and white keys. And then while that's happening, we actually have a whole right-hand riff going on. And it's pretty small on my screen right now, but I'm going to try and give you an example here. Let's see. So there's a lot of syncopation, a lot of hand coordination going on, significantly harder than what we saw on the intermediate level. Let's listen to what this is supposed to sound like without the backing track. Much faster too than what I was playing. Much more rhythmic left hand part. Much more syncopated rhythm in the right hand. All right, let's leave it there. So let's say we've done our analysis now, and we realize that intermediate is really the way to go. So let's do intermediate. I might actually already have it in my songs. I'm going to take a quick peek and see. Don't Stop Believin'. I got a ton of songs because I've been doing this for a while here, guys. I don't think I do. So I'm going to go back to the song store. I'm going to add to cart. I have like a jillion free song credits, so I'm just going to keep moving through here. Ian's talking about trying to make me pay for song credits. Not cool, man. Not cool.
Get rid of those song credits.
That's right. I could start dishing them out too, yeah. Hey, I like to give free song credits out quite a bit in the chat, don't I, guys? All right, so now I think we've got it. Let me get to Don't Stop Believin' in my songs. By the way, guys, for those of you who are new to the app, this is the process. You download your songs in the song store, and then when they're downloaded, they appear in the My Songs tab. Here it is, Don't Stop Believin'. All right, now on the left, we've got every single section broken down for you here. And that might feel intimidating, but I don't want you to be intimidated by that. That's actually meant to make it less intimidating. And that's because every section typically is 4 to 8 measures long only. I'm going to minimize my on-screen keyboard. There we go. And we're going to start with the intro. The intro for, well, technically this is a both hand segment, but that's because the right hand is just resting the whole time, right? Now, before we just dive in, I want to continue to do a little analysis. Feel free to dive in. I think that was a question that I saw actually from Elta John. Here we go. Elta said, when I get a new song, I want to play all the way through it once. Is that wrong? I guess I need to see how much I can sight read. So it's a very good question, and I wouldn't say whether it's right or wrong, but I will say this. If your goal is to practice sight reading, then yeah, go ahead and skip all the way down to here to full song. And then you're just going to want to hit play and practice sight reading. And that's going to be maybe challenging. If your goal is sight reading, then I would suggest that you download a level of a song that is easier than what you can actually play. Because you're not trying to learn the song and challenge yourself, you're trying to sight read it. If you're trying to learn a piece that might challenge you, Elta, then I would say that getting a brand new song and trying to play all the way through it once is likely not the best use of your practice time. Because that's going to be one of your final steps after all, right? When you go through and you learn all your segments, then you're going to work on putting it all together. So if you start a book in the last chapter, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to figure out what's going on. And I would say the same thing here when it comes to learning a piece of music. If, however, what you really are aching for is like the main part of the song, then of course you can go ahead over here and skip to what likely is going to be the chorus. And so I'll go to chorus both hands. And what I would do here, instead of just hitting play in the app, which of course starts it in
One,
time
two,
at full
three,
speed.
4, 1, 2.
Okay.
Set,
Oh boy.
go.
Oh, this feels fast. Oh, this is too much. Okay. Oh, bad experience, right? We don't want that. Instead, I would like you to look at the notation and get your hands up and try working through it without the pressure of playing it in time. So first, I'm going to get up here and I'm going to see, where should I start? Okay, I'm going to take it one hand at a time. Right hand, single note, first space on the treble staff. Let me remember my mnemonics. Spaces are face, F-A-C-E, so this is an F. Okay, what finger do I play it with? Well, there's a 3 above that F. Third finger in the right hand on F. Cool. All right, left hand. Looks like I'm playing 2 notes, C and G, right? All cows eat grass. 1 and 5. Okay, so here's my first. Then my right hand then moves to Every Good Boy Does Fine, E. Okay, there we go. Let's just do that again. Ah, now it's actually coming together. Don't stop, right? Okay, now let's take it one step at a time here. Next we have thumb on D. B, well, not B. Believin', but it's a D note. Then next measure, we're back to 3 on F in the right hand. The left hand is going to play D and G. All right, now I'm going to stop again. I'm going to go back. It's already coming together, right? But I'm not just hitting play from the top and trying to work my way through it as I go, because that is a huge challenge and an unnecessary challenge for when you first start. This brings me to kind of the learning portion of today's lesson. So let's pull up that title here, because it's important that we ground ourselves in our agenda for today. It's also important that we really focus in on the impact that learning can have here. We really want to focus on this word learning. We've selected our song. We've talked about the process by which we can select a song that is at least close to appropriate to our level. Now comes learning, and learning necessarily means practicing. So another way to phrase this portion, instead of how to learn a song, would be how to best practice the song so that you can learn it in a way that is good, right? In a way that sticks in your muscle memory, and in a way that allows you to build on the previous stuff that you've learned. For those of you who are going through the Grace Shalea course right now, you know that we often start our days by reviewing where we left off in the previous day. And that might seem like annoying to you if you're wanting to fly through it, but it's an act of patience that's required here to do that. And I hope you guys are already seeing that if you're patient and if you review what you've learned before, you are able to build on that stuff better and learn more and more chunks and perform more and more measures all at once. So reviewing is a big part of that. Biting off little chunks at a time is a huge part of that. And stripping away additional challenges is a big part of that. So let's get back into our song here, and let's talk more about how to learn this in a way that incorporates those tools. So when I say reviewing, that's pretty self-explanatory. You learn something one day, you're done practicing the next day or even the next week, you jump back into play, you want to review and dust off what you've done before. When I talk about repetition, it's really important that we know that if we hit play at the beginning of the song and we play through the whole song once and that's it, we really haven't repeated anything, right? Now, if you're biting off the entire piece to try all at once and then you want to repeat that, you're going to be practicing for like 2 hours and you're only going to have, a handful of repetitions under your belt. So this leads me to biting off small chunks. You can call that whatever you like, but you get the gist of what I'm saying here. You don't want to take on too much new stuff all at once. And again, that's why we like to divide our sections up into segments along the left-hand side. So what we have in the beginning is the intro for both hands, but really it's just a left-hand part. So let's go to the verse. Actually, we were doing the chorus, so let's go back to the chorus. So that's chorus both hands. By the way, I would not recommend that you start learning a section with both hands together. Instead, I would look to the left-hand side here, and I would see chorus right hand, chorus left hand, chorus both hands. Now, feel free to get familiar with how the section is supposed to sound by coming up here in the app and toggling on the hands. Now, those hands right there are essentially the piano demo. This is going to play for you what the piano part is supposed to sound like. I'm also going to turn off the lightning bolt here so that I don't get a grade. And then I'm going to hit play. You're going to be able to watch the scroll bar and hear the piano part itself.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, set, go.
I wasn't really hearing it there, actually. Let's try that again.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, set, go.
Oh, thank you. Aiden did remind me. That's why.
Piano sound.
Yeah, I have my volume changed in here, so I'm going to bring my piano sound up. Now we're going to be able to hear it. Check that out. All right. Thank you.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, set, go.
There it is. Now let's say that the backing track is a bit loud or distracting for us and we just want to hear the piano part. You want to come up here to your toolbar and toggle off the little icon that looks like a band. A couple of musicians playing. All right. Now let's hear what this sounds like without the band.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, set, go.
There we go. I really hope you guys utilize these tools because notice I haven't really started learning anything yet, but I'm getting very familiar with this song. All right, let's leave it there. So now when I'm ready to start learning and practicing, I'm going to definitely do this one hand at a time. All right, that's my first thing here. So here we can see the entire right hand part. And this part is not very cool, right? This is not like a fun part of practicing, but this is some real life stuff here, guys. At a certain point, you're going to have to dig in, take stuff very slowly, walk through beat by beat, and learn this stuff, right? You can't skip ahead. You can't shortcut this stuff. And one of the things that is most often shortcutted is working out the rhythms and subdividing the rhythms so that you're playing with even timing. Now you can break this stuff into several stages. First you can go through, and I often like to do this, kind of learn the hand positions and the notes without spending too much attention on the rhythm. But then quickly, once I know my hand positions and my notes, then I'm going to jump into working on the rhythms. So we can do it that way here. First we can say, all right, we already did this before. F, E, D, F, E. Okay, same position here moving forward. Okay, cool, got it. Oh, here, it looks like I have a different finger above F. That means a hand position change. Notice I'm paused right now. I'm not worried about even timing or staying with a scroll bar. That's important. Now, whenever you see a finger shift like that, it's most often because you need to free up a finger to play a note that's out of the previous range. And here, that is this C. Done. Now, we've split this section into, I believe this is like a 16 measure chorus, but feel free to even split it in half from there at your discretion. Maybe we want to stop there and go back and review what we just did. Okay, this time I'm going to start to think more about rhythm. So we're back at the top here, measure 89, top measure. All right, we've got a dotted quarter note. We're in 4/4 time signature. A dotted quarter note gets 1.5 beats. Then we see an E as an eighth note. The eighth note gets a half beat. You add those two together, you get 2 beats, right? 1.5 and then a half. That half is tied over, that eighth note is tied over to a quarter note, which gets 1 beat. Then we have an eighth rest and an eighth note on D. Now again, guys, this is the process. You can't skip this stuff. I'm just going to look at one measure at a time now. Now I'm going to subdivide, all right? I know that there's 4 counts in each measure. I'm going to take it at a tempo that feels really comfy to me. Then I'm going to count numbers on each of these. I'm going to say, all right, this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Now in between those numbers, I'm going to put the syllable and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That and allows me to account for the half beats, that fall in the cracks of the strong beat numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if I do that, here's what I end up getting. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Remember I said bite off small chunks? That was 1 to 2 measures. Remember I said repeat often? Well, I'm not done yet. I'm not going to move on from here. If I was really practicing here and not doing a live stream for you guys, then I would sit down and repeat those 2 measures until I could do it effortlessly and close to a good tempo. Maybe I would want to speed it up gradually until I'm doing it here. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Then I'm going to test myself. What's the actual tempo of this thing?
1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, it's faster. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now that might be your whole practice session for the day, you guys. So I need you all to have a long view of your song goals. Remember, the topic that we're covering today is a very long topic. How do you pick a song, learn it, and perfect it? You guys, sometimes that might take months. And that's not meant to discourage you. That's meant to prepare you and to set your expectations, because learning an entire song is no small feat, even if you've picked a level that is appropriate for you. So I hope you guys are seeing what I'm getting at here with practice. I'm not going to lie to you here. You've got to bite off small chunks, and you've got to practice that stuff with repetition. And then what I want to do is, I guess, fast forward a couple of weeks, right? You've been practicing this song. Maybe you practice every day, like Rhonda and like Yvette. Maybe you practice once or twice a week. At a certain point, you're going to have seen several practice sessions with the song that you've chosen. And if you are still practicing the same 2 measures or the same section with one hand, and you haven't really made a ton of progress, but you're still practicing and you're working on it in the right ways, that might be one sign that you've chosen an arrangement that is a little bit more difficult than your level is currently at the moment. And again, that's not meant to be discouraging. That is meant to let you know that you maybe have jumped into deeper waters than you expected, all right? So, of course, you can always go back to your song store at any time, pick a different level, and you want to find that sweet spot of a balance between a challenge and something that you can actually see yourself making decent progress. You guys, I want to go back to the chat and check in and see if there's any questions and comments related to today's topic that I can get to. I see quite a bit. I'm going to fly through these here a bit. So Parker Stang asks, how do you tell if a song you're trying to learn is beyond your abilities and you should hold off? Well, maybe this was an earlier question. I hope I've covered a couple of answers to that with what I've gone into here, Parker. But I guess I would say it's a combination of some analysis up front. If you're seeing a song in the key of, D flat major, and you don't even know what that means, that might be a little too hard for you, okay? Pick a song that is in an easier key, for example. Let's say you pick a song in an easier key, but you dive in, and there are rhythms that you've never even seen before, right? So basically, you're going to gauge your level of familiarity with what you're seeing. You don't want to you don't want to know everything on screen the first time you see it, because that's going to suggest that it's too easy for you. But you want to be able to recognize what you're seeing and not have it be a foreign language either, right? Blesson asks, how long does it take to learn to play a challenging piece of music? Well, Blesson, there's a lot of different factors that go into a question like that. One would be, what's the piece of music? The other is, what level are you? And the other would be, how often are you able to practice, right? So if you're practicing 1 day a week, it might take you a year to learn a song that you could learn in a month if you practiced every day, for example, right? So it depends. You have to have realistic practice goals for yourself. And again, you've got to be able to and willing to commit to a longer term project here. When we're talking about learning a song, it's not just 1 or 2 practice sessions. Elta John says, sometimes I feel good about a piece until I record it and listen back to it. Then I get discouraged. Elta, don't get discouraged, because recording yourself and listening back is actually a wonderful tool to utilize along the way of getting a song perfect. if you only ever hit record when a song was perfect, well, none of us would rarely ever hit record. In fact, I like to record myself when I'm learning a song for a couple reasons. One, like you said, it shows you where you need some extra work, if you need some extra work. And that is a valuable tool. But another reason is because if you record something early in your work on it, and you record it again in the middle of your work, you record it again at the end, you're actually going to be able to document your progress in a way that is really nice and easy for you to see outside of yourself. You can listen back and say, wow, can you believe I was barely able to play that section back then, but now listen to my recording. So I highly would encourage you to continue recording yourself, but try not to judge the recording. Instead, use it as a tool to tell yourself, you know what, that section that didn't sound as great, that's what I'm going to focus my practice time on in my next session. Robert Atkins says, if your goal is to perfect a song, what do you do in the event that you can't quite play certain things yet, like certain chords, but can you play maybe 3 months down the road? Robert, if your goal is to perfect a song, typically what you'll find is that as you practice it and practice it and practice it, there will be certain sections that come easier to you. Maybe you'll even memorize certain sections, but there will be other sections, possibly, that you can't memorize or that you almost have memorized, but there's that one thing that always trips you up, right? Whether it's a chord or a rhythm or something else. What I would suggest that you do there is that you take a step back from playing the full song, which does not mean that you are losing progress by any means, but rather to zoom in to the problem spot. So let's say in measure 100 out of a 200 measure song, you are really just not able to do it, okay? Stop playing it from measure 1 to 200. Instead, zoom in to measure 100, try to play it super slow, maybe go one hand at a time. You're looking for a win here, so simplify, strip away all the other challenges, and just find a way to, again, bite off a small piece, again, practice with repetition. And soon enough, even if it takes a week or two of just practicing measure 100, I promise you, you will get better at measure 100. Then, don't just go back to measure 1 to 200. Maybe then you zoom out a little bit. So now play measure 90 to 100 or 90 to 110. Does that make sense? Eventually, you're going to zoom back out and play the whole song, and you will find that that problem spot has gotten easier. If you continue to do that to all the problem spots, you will be able to play that song, I'll go ahead and say perfectly, okay? Meatloaf crazy. I'm not just saying, I didn't just see some crazy Meatloaf. I'm answering a question from Meatloaf Crazy. That's a great name. Meatloaf Crazy says, is it bad to play songs more and not always get them right than to actually work through the boot camps? Well, this is an interesting question, Meatloaf Crazy, and that's because it's kind of a twofold question. So I'll take it in halves. The first half is it bad to play songs more and not always get them right? I'm actually going to compare that to playing a song less but getting it right before we talk about a boot camp. And to that I would say it's worse. It's worse to play a song a bunch of times and not get it right than it is to play it a few times and do it right every time. And the main reason for that is because no matter what you're practicing, you are building muscle memory. So if you practice a song 100 times, like this, let's see. Yeah, that was Don't Stop Believin'. Let's try it again. Yeah, that was 2 times. Let's try it again. Everyone's cringing in the room right now, by the way. That was my atonal Don't Stop Believin'. It's called Stop Believin'. If I were to do that 10 times, can I really say that I practiced Don't Stop Believin' 10 times? Maybe, but I would have practiced it wrong. And then the next day I go to play it, it's actually going to be harder for me to play it the right way because I've built muscle memory in those wrong ways. Now, if it takes me a super long time to just be able to play that intro right, and I take my time. Oops, there it is. Okay. Okay, I got it. All right, now let me go through it again a little faster now. Oh, let me actually pause. I need to make sure I get that note right. There it is. Okay, now I'm going to practice that 10 times in a row. So remember, you're building muscle memory no matter what you play. The number of times you play through a song is only, the higher that number is only good if you're doing it right. If you're doing something 10 times wrong and you get it right on the final time, you've still done it way more times wrong than you have right. Does that make sense? I know I can't hear your answer, but it's just a rhetorical question. Okay, and the second part of your question was about, is it bad to play songs more and not get it right than to actually work through the boot camp? Now, the boot camp is a different experience in the app. You're not going to see a full song. Now, there's a ton of segments and a ton of sections in a full song, right? The boot camp is actually a great place to progress through lessons because we use little chunks of songs to help teach fundamentals. So, for example, you might see a boot camp lesson with Don't Stop Believin', but it would just be for like a left-hand melody lesson, for example, and it would just give you a couple of measures of this riff. There you go, move on, right? So the boot camp is actually structured in a way that's much different than the song store lessons. And so it's hard to compare them, but I guess what I'll say to bring this answer home is no matter what you're practicing, you're building muscle memory. So if you're practicing something wrong a bunch of times in a row, whether it's a song or a boot camp lesson, you probably need to take a step back and figure out why you're doing it wrong each time. It likely has to do with one particular measure or one particular chord or one particular rhythm. And you want to give that extra attention so that then you can zoom back out and play through it correctly. I think it's time for a pop quiz, you guys. I think I don't want to end today's lesson without giving you guys a chance to win some free song credits. So for those of you who are new to this, to these streams, what I like to do is pose a question that is something that most of you should be able to answer. Typically they're from either today's lesson or a recent lesson. I like to pick answers. I like to pick correct answers from the chat. And the people who give correct answers, I like to give free song credits in our interactive app. So here is my question for you guys. And I'm going to go ahead and say that the first 5 acceptable answers are each going to win 2 free song credits. Let's do some quick math. I'm about to give away 10 free song credits, y'all. All right. Is that right? Just kidding. Yeah. So there are multiple possible correct answers to this question. So get your fingers ready to type. When you are working on selecting a new song, what is one thing that you can do before you download the arrangement to determine if it's an appropriate level for you? Again, there are multiple possible correct answers here, but I would like for them to be something that I mentioned today, right? Like going on a walk around your neighborhood first. That doesn't count, right? Something that I mentioned. What's something that you can do before you download the arrangement and actually start practicing it to see if you can determine if a song is appropriate for your level or not appropriate? And in the meantime, I'm going to practice my Don't Stop Believin'. See if I can make a new version here. This one's going to be Don't Stop Believin' minor. It's called I Stopped Believin'. Andrew, Ian, do we have any correct answers?
Yes. So we have Elta John.
Elta John.
Key signature.
Looking for the key signature. Elta John says, looking for the key signature here. And are we reading these in order?
Yes.
Okay, good. So Elta John, it looks like that she's going to be our first correct answer here. Looking for the key signature. Now, in particular, what about the key signature? We want to look for a familiar one that we have some experience with already. If you don't know what a 6-sharp key signature is, you probably shouldn't download that song. All right, great job, Elta. Who else?
Brendan Keeley.
Brendan Keeley.
Listen to the preview.
Listen to the preview. We put the previews in there for a reason, you guys. And even if you don't know how to play what you're hearing in the preview yet, you should be able to get a sense of, does that sound super, super hard, right? Is it this? Is it this? Or is it this? Right? You should be able to have a sense from that, just from listening to the preview. So congratulations, Brendan Keeley. You are correct.
Lily May Music.
Lily May Music. Lily May says, look at the demo. So there's a couple of things that could mean, but I think you have a double answer here, Lily, and that's right. You can listen to the demo. You can look at the preview. You can look at the demo of the notation on the first page. So that's exactly right. Yes, yes, yes. John Anderson, you say look for a key signature that you know. That's correct. That's beyond just looking at the key signature. You're looking for a key signature you know. So I'm going to give you credit for that too. Robert Atkins says, pick the level you're comfortable with. Robert, I'm going to give you credit for this, but I'm also going to look for one more answer, and that's because sometimes there's more to it than that. If you think you're intermediate and you pick an intermediate song, sometimes there's an intermediate easy level or a genre that's easier. Sometimes there's an intermediate hard, and so you may want to dig a little deeper in your analysis before you download a song. But I'll give you credit, Robert, because I think you're right there for sure. All right. Play the sample song first. I love books to read. Charles Smith, listen to the song backing track. I'm going to try and find a new answer here. Jeanette, look at the music sample. Rhonda Nodder has a good one here. Filter the difficulty. So, okay, Rhonda, I think you nailed it here. This is a bit of a multi-answer, but I think you're absolutely right. First, you want to filter that difficulty. Don't forget, on the left-hand side in the song store. Then choose a song that you like. And I think that is not to be dismissed, right? If you like a song, typically that means a couple things. One, you're probably going to be more willing to clock the time to learn it because you like it. And two, you are likely already familiar with the song, which again is going to help you when you go to learn it. So Rhonda Nodder, you are our 5th winner, or actually 6th technically. Elta John, Brendan Keeley, Lily May Music, John Anderson, Robert Atkins, and Rhonda Nodder. You each get 2 free song credits. Thank you everyone for writing in and participating. The last thing I briefly want to talk about here when it comes to perfecting our song. Now guys, again, a lot of this we talked about in the learning portion. The difference between learning and perfecting is just how long you spend practicing what you're learning. So again, it comes down to practice. I hate to say such a cliche because I don't necessarily believe practice makes perfect. However, I think the gist of that is still true, which is that if you want to perfect something, or another way to say that would be to be able to play something all the way through, maybe with no mistakes, you've got to be able to practice it for a long time. So you need patience. You need to commit to a longer-term goal of incremental progress. Because the enemy of perfecting a song is shortcutting through the song and skipping steps. So you've got to be willing to clock that time, and you've got to be willing to show up to practice that piece, even on days when you are feeling like, you know what, I'm sick of this piece, I just want to start on something fresh. You're welcome to do that, and there's not anything necessarily wrong with that. But if your goal is to perfect that piece, then you're not really sticking to your goal there, right? So there's not some brand new thing to discuss here, some trick to perfecting a song that I haven't already touched on. It's really just about committing to a longer term practice. So you select your song, you go through the learning, you put your work in, you get your hands dirty, and you continue to do that until every section of that song feels easy enough for you to play consistently without mistakes. You guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll tune in. One last time, I'm going to throw it up on the screen here. April 21st is our next live lesson. Now, that does not mean you're not going to see me or hear from playground sessions until then. We're going to continue to release songs. I'm going to be creating some more content for the channel that's going to walk you through how to play certain things. I'm going to pull from a lot of the topics that we've done in these live lessons because, after all, you guys have voted and I know that they're important to you guys. I want to make some content for the channel that covers that stuff too. I also want to give you guys more of a chance to vote on some of the stuff that we'll talk about then. So please mark your calendars. April 21st, we're going to have a 2-hour extravaganza, and we're going to throw in some extra fun stuff as well that we don't typically get to do when we're doing these on a weekly basis. I want to encourage everyone to keep going with the Grace Challenge from Shalea. If you are about to wrap it up, that's great. If you are not, that is also okay. And when the lessons stop coming out on a daily basis from us, it's not going to disappear. It's not a race to get to the end of this thing. So if you're working on that advanced level especially, that is a really tricky one. I hope you will not give up, and I hope you're enjoying yourself along the way. Thanks so much, everyone. I will see you guys on April 21st.